Struggling to achieve a professional sounding sound? Today I'll show you 10 amazing tips that will help you elevate your mixing and production skills. My name is Alfred from Master Channel and I've mastered hundreds of tracks, been a signed artist by a major label. I live full time by just producing music and living the life as an artist. And today I'm going to show you some great tips to really elevate your skills. So let's dive in. Tip number 1. Quality doesn't require expensive gear. Many great hit songs have been made by just a pair of decent headphones and a computer. And today, all the DAWs got amazing plugins and synthesizers, so you don't really need to waste money on expensive ones. So focus on learning the inside out of the gear that you already got. And remember, creativity and skill beats expensive equipment every time. Tip number 2. The key to a great mix. High quality sounds. Imagine this: if you're building a house with really poor materials, you will end up with a really crappy house. And if you're building a house with really great materials, you will end up with a really great looking house. And the same goes for the materials you build your song with. I distinguish between two types of sounds. You have poor sounding sounds and you have expensive sounding sounds. Expensive sounds have great quality with a tight and fresh feel, while cheap ones often have too much high end and don't stand out well in your mix. Here's an example of an expensive sound versus a cheap one with the same purpose. Tip number 3. Make music faster. It will be so much more fun. Get the basic structure of your track laid out quickly. Worry about the technical details later. The more you enjoy the process, the more creative you'll be. Plus, having a rough structure makes it so much easier to actually get the song finished, because you have an idea of how it's going to actually be. You can divide your brain into the creative brain and the non-creative brain. And it's so important to start making the music or getting like the most fundamental parts of your song when you're in the creative mode. The creative brain is active when you have energy, while the non-creative one can be used anytime. Don't mix a clap when you're in the creative phase. Do it when your energy is low. That's the best time for the boring stuff. So when you're creative, just go for it and do everything fast. It's so important because it's limited the time you have when you're creative. Tip number 4. Think EQ and volume are easy. Think again. Volume and EQ are fundamental, but can be really complex. Properly balancing levels and frequencies take practice and a keen ear. Spend time understanding how different frequencies interact and how volume adjustments affect the overall mix. These basics are crucial and often the hardest to master. Spend at least an hour adjusting the volume for your track. Tip number 5.
Mixing for long periods can lead to ear fatigue.
Use low volumes and take regular breaks, because working for a long time makes it harder for you to really hear the fine details. So remember, after you have worked on music for many hours, it's not a really great idea to work on the finest details. Tip number 6. Something everyone tells you is to listen to your mix on different speaker systems. What sounds great in your studio might not translate well elsewhere. If you're mixing your track on your grandma's radio and then play it somewhere else, you'll probably have way too much bass. But a great thing, what's great with Master Channel is that it helps you out on this by balancing the EQ to sound great across all playback systems, making this step so much easier. Tip number 7. Ditch the solo button. Mixing in solo can be misleading. Always mix your tracks in context with the rest of the elements. The goal is to create a balanced mix where all parts complement each other. Mix the piano while the vocals are playing. Then you will make a piano that fits well to the vocals. So always remember to mix everything together. Tip number 8. Balance your mix as a whole. It's so important to pay attention to the main core elements of your song. Don't pay attention to a riser that's way back in the mix. It will be really low in volume anyways. Pay attention to the vocals, the guitars, the piano, the bass, the main elements that really stand out in the mix. Tip number 9. Don't add unnecessary elements. Less is often more. Avoid cluttering your mix with way too many elements. Use the delete button generously to keep your mix clean and focused. It's better to have a few well-placed elements than a crowded, muddy mix. Tip number 10. Finally, use a polite mastering service. What's great with Master Channel is that it helps you actually make your song sound great on all different speaker systems and platforms. The mastering system treats each song that is uploaded individually. So if your song is already well mixed and sounds great, only minor adjustments will be made to make it further or better. This really sets Master Channel apart from other mastering services that usually applies filters and treats all songs the same. Professional mastering can make a significant difference in the final quality of your music and makes your sound more competitive. And remember, you can't polish a rusty Toyota into a Bentley. Make sure that your key elements really sound great and be picky about your sounds to get a great sounding result. By liking and commenting, you will get the chance of winning a 1-year VIP subscription with our mastering service. And yes, that's it. See you in the next one. Happy mixing and mastering.